This evening.
This is starting to get old. Peter, did you get my message a minute ago?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read through that.
So we don't, oh, this is, so we don't want this one.
Yeah, where'd it go?
Which one are you working on?
I don't even know. This is the one, was there a new version of this one?
So I'm going off Mark's last email.
Oh, okay.
And then, now what version?
Good evening. This is the Thursday, May 29th, 2025 meeting of the Finance Committee.
That's all right.
We are at the Public Safety Complex at 576 Pleasant Street in Paxton. We're also online via Zoom. Link is available on the website. I understand I announced the opening of a meeting last night as 576 Main Street. For those that went to Main Street, I apologize. But we're at 576 Pleasant Street. We have 5 members, 4 present at the Public Safety Complex, 1 online. A quorum is 4. We're open for business.
And I'll call to order the Select Board meeting for May 29th, 2025 from the same locations that Mr. Love advertised. Mr. Love, if I could, would you mind if I open things up?
Sure.
Thank you. I'm going to start with, first of all, an apology to both the committee and the Select Board, and in particular, of course, Tony, you. It's not in my character to lose my cool as I get older. Maybe in my younger days it was a little bit more common, but I did lose my cool a little bit last night, and I extend my apologies and will certainly work toward not allowing that to happen again. Received 2 emails today. Julia and Heather received one of them. And the first one said, you have to take emotions out of it. Well, sometimes I have a little trouble doing that. And then the second one said, thank you for passionately standing up for those who protect us. So I appreciate both sides of that. The second thing I'd like to say, if I could, I have asked Chief, let me take that back. I told Chief Sebasta not to be here this evening, and with his permission, he's allowing me to explain why he's not here. Last Friday, his father suffered a stroke after just beating or just getting past colon cancer and currently battling stomach cancer. There's an MRI that revealed something on his father's spine. And of course, his father is his mom's caregiver, who is unfortunately suffering from dementia. Chief Sebasta needs to be with his family at this time, and that is why he was not here last night. I actually told him yesterday morning not to come. And then I reiterated that this afternoon in a meeting that I had with him. If I could, then I'd like to move on to the AMC budget, which I believe we were charged to do something with, if that's okay.
Yeah, if I could just piggyback on your comments. First of all, we appreciate them, so thank you. And secondly, our best wishes go out to Chief Sebasta and his family as well. So thank you for that.
So moving on to the AMC budget, I have received an email from Mike Myers at Anna Maria College, just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. The email states that I've been asked to clarify that the college knows about the contract between the town and Anna Maria regarding police services. Regarding the budget, I receive a budget in Excel from Chief Sebasta annually, which is reviewed and approved by the college. I would be happy to share that if needed. It contains salaries for the employees plus a general line for officers. There are also line items for supplies and such. At least twice a year, the chief and I meet to go over the budget and determine how we are doing adhering to the presented budget. I would also note that if there are questions about the contract, that people can reach out directly to me. I believe someone has reached out to a person who is no longer an employee of the college and also never oversaw public safety during his tenure here, and as such would have no information about the contract other than total amounts and that it exists. As I mentioned, if you do not have it, I'd be happy to provide what I was given and approved for the 2024-2025 budget last year, or more than happy to meet with folks and discuss further. There is one more year left on the contract, and we will likely be looking at some sort of negotiation in the fall regarding this. Thank you, Michael Myers, Executive Vice President and Chief Information Officer, Anna Maria College. Now, just to give some background, because we've been in this contract now for approximately 15 years, before we were in it, our town resources, police resources were consistently being pulled to the campus, pulling the resources from the rest of the town. As a result, AMC and Paxton forged an agreement in which AMC dissolved their public safety agency, and Paxton then took over the policing of the college. It's a very unique contract. Matter of fact, after it was written, it was the first one like it in the country, and after it was written, Chief DeRozier, who was the person who was responsible for it, was actually asked to do a presentation at a conference in Chicago going over what it was all about. Now, if, Heather, can you put that on the screen? Is that possible? Awesome. So I typed it into an Excel spreadsheet, so it'd be a little bit easier to read. Unfortunately, maybe I didn't make it big enough. Can we make it any larger there, to be easier to read?
Down below, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because I'm getting old and
Yeah, so am I.
the eyes don't work like it used to. So when we talk about the salaries, it's not necessarily about the time. What Anna Maria is paying for with our chief, with our lieutenant, with our sergeant, what they're really paying for is a professional organization, the knowledge of those individuals, avoiding trouble, keeping the college out of trouble, and as the college states right in the contract, their ability to boast their public safety. Now, why would the college pay our chief $41,301 to also oversee their police department? And they're not actually paying the chief, they're actually paying us, and we're paying the chief. The average small college campus police chief, according to ChatGPT, I'll give you the source, is somewhere between $100,000 to $165,000. The Anna Maria College budget is on the lower end for college of this size, and the fact that they're on the lower end, also, they like to boast the fact that it's a very professional organization. Now, if we were to say, all right, and I did receive an email with this suggestion, take that $41,000 and deduct it from what the town has to pay, and then the chief would make $137,000, which is what his new contract will state, and then we could take that money and put it elsewhere. The problem with that is that $137,000 is just about the same amount of money that the police chief in Princeton makes. And the chief in Princeton doesn't have that second agency to oversee. So why would someone be a chief here in Paxton with the two agencies and having to oversee all of that for the same amount of money as what they could make elsewhere without that kind of responsibility? That's part of the reason why Anna Maria College, and as you heard Mike Myers say, gladly pays those salaries. We could attempt to put together the Anna Maria College budget. The reason that the FY26 budget is not yet put together is because it really does depend on what we do here. Just to use a number, let's say that we took the deficit that I thought we had, and I believe we had when we left last night, the $198,000. And we said, all right, we're going to deduct that from the police budget. And again, I'm just using, I'm not saying we're going to do that, it's just a scenario. That would put the police budget reduction at about 24%. That would cost approximately 4 officers. Well, it's possible that our most junior officers are currently at Anna Maria College. That would then force us to take 4 of the town officers here and move, or 3 or 2, whatever it happens to be, and move them to Anna Maria College. Those officers are then more expensive than what's already there. And that could also make a difference as far as, do they take town insurance? Do they not take town insurance? So all of that would have to get figured into the budget, which is what Mark had been trying to explain, and what I tried to explain last night, although, in all fairness, I did a horrible job of it. Again, lost my cool. But that's what he was trying to say, is we can't really put together the FY26 budget for AMC until we get the town police budget all set. At that point, Mark will sit down with the select board and we will write the AMC budget, and it will get approved by Anna Maria College. Now, regarding, again, I've got this listed as $198,000 deficit. As Tony knows, because I ran into him, I was here this afternoon, I was here for about an hour and a half. And I was informed earlier today by an officer that is below the rank of lieutenant that the conversations taking place here over the last couple of nights are really damaging the morale of the police department. The perception, and I'm not saying any of us mean to do this, but the recipient's perception is their reality. The perception within the department right now is that the police are under attack. This afternoon, when I met with Chief Sebasta, he offered to retire. He said, if that's what the town desires, if it's me that's causing the problem, I am more than willing to retire. I refused. I did not accept. What we did decide, though, is, however, if you wish, if it's the wish of the Finance Committee to cut all, part of it, whatever, of the $198,000 from the police budget, Mark has asked me not to interfere. He will do, as you were so happy to hear Travis say, he'll make do with whatever he gets to the very best of his ability. Now, I'm not going to sit here and fearmonger or tell you what that would look like, because I don't know. I would hope that, just like with our DPW superintendent, which I agree with, we'll give them the number. It'll be up to them to provide the best service they possibly can. We are demoralizing our officers. Intentionally, I don't think so, but still happening. And we need to stop. So if that's the desire, we can make that cut. Although for some reason I have a spreadsheet now where the deficit's much less. But whatever it is, if you want to cut it from the police, we can end this discussion right now. We can adjourn, and we can call it a night.
So Peter, thank you again for those comments. Let me speak from maybe the Finance Committee's perspective, but if not, my own as a Finance Committee member. The good news is we all heard the number at 20 minutes of 10 last night of 198,000, and I said to myself, there's no way that that's the deficit. But the hour was late, and there's a lot of work in order to check the linkages and the like and so on and so forth. So I figured we were meeting this evening, we deal with it during the day today, and the town administrator, to her credit, has dealt with it today. My understanding, the good news is still a deficit. which is bad news, but the good news is, and Heather, correct me if I'm wrong, 47,490.
Correct.
Mr. Love, that is not good news. I call that great
I
news.
agree. I agree. So picking up on your, in the chief's essentially olive branch to make this work, correct me if I'm wrong, but we went through 43 cost centers, departments, units, call them what you will, and we approved all of them but one. And the one is the police department. So Heather, I sent you something late in the day. Is it possible for you to put that up on the screen? Heather?
Yes, yes. Let me grab it.
Because I think we have a solution.
Yeah.
It could very
What
well
am I,
be in the middle in terms of what you suggested and what I'm going to present. And once again, it's a single page. If you like it, great. If you hate it, I own it. But I'm asking her to put up the FY25 AMC budget, which is now on the website. It's a public record. I think we certainly have the authority, if not, I think the responsibility to talk a little bit about that. But from that, I have a recommendation.
is that what you're looking for, Mark?
That is. So if you can
Okay.
just scroll down, and Heather, are you going to be able to go to the two attachments back and forth? But at least this one right now, there's a budget amount down at the bottom of $761,160,000. I think we'll all agree to that. That's the one that's been kicking around.
Although that budget's actually off by $180, but that's okay.
So if you could put the other one up on the screen, Heather.
Which one is the other one, Mark? The one we just,
No,
the one
it
that
was,
we were just looking at, that Peter prepared?
It was one email that I sent you with two attachments.
Oh, the Word document.
Yes.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we can't put them up next to each other, which would be really helpful, but, and the good news is it's one page, it's only a few numbers, so if you can just bear with me. So here you can see it's a proposal, it's a suggestion, and the starting point is 761. I rounded, because I didn't want to lose $180 or $340. There are, from this particular budget, there are direct amounts that the Anna Maria subsidizes or pays for. There are 4 offices. There are career incentives for 4 offices. And there are other things that are in the budget that I condensed. There's overtime, there's longevity, there's part-time coverage and the like. So I basically took the liberty of taking some of that and arriving at a number of 92,500, which, not by coincidence, is half of the 761. Then I'm taking, and if you note the sign that I have and the symbol, those are all right from this particular budget. So I didn't get creative. I wasn't taking any liberties. There's a section on the budget that talks about supplies, but it's not really supplies. It's liability insurance, it's uniforms, it's firearms, it's miscellaneous equipment, it's gasoline, it's training, right from the budget of $155,000. I am suggesting that the chief and the lieutenant and the sergeant and the administrative assistant be paid some amount of money for their services to Anna Maria College, and that at the time that I prepared this, the budget was much larger. Now the budget deficit is only $47,000. I was suggesting, let's find a way that 125 of that remaining budget that makes up the 761 do a better job of relieving the budget that we have of the town of Paxton Police Department that indirectly still benefits Anna Maria College, but at the same time gives relief to our particular budget right here. It's that shaded area that's never found its way to the town budget, and I'm suggesting, just because it equals 761, I'm suggesting 125. If the number is 100, that's great. If the number is 75,000, that's great. But given what we've talked about this evening, it should be at least 50,000 that would make our deficit of 47,000 go away. That in condensed summary form is kind of what we were leading to and talking about all these particular months, is to get some of that into our town budget. And that's a proposal that I'm recommending.
So we're gonna cut the pay of those four to balance our budget.
Well, I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to say let the chief and lieutenant decide what that number's going to be. And let them decide how much is going to come to the town. Is it 125? Is it 100? Is it 75? I would ask that it be no less than 50, and we can call it a night, because now we have a balanced budget. So I'm not going to make that decision for them. I'm suggesting this is what our need is. Let them go back to the drawing board and let them come up with whatever they think is fair for those particular amounts, but get a certain amount to the town to balance its budget.
So just to make sure that we're on the same page here, and then I'd like to give my own proposal if I could. We're gonna add a line item to the AMC budget that's funds for the town.
If that's what Mike Myers and Anna Maria College is agreeable to, fine. If that's not what the chief and lieutenant want to do, that's fine. They've called it any number of things here. I don't suggest that we get carelessly creative in preparing the budget, but
No, but I mean, we're taking money from those two, whatever amount of money they're willing to give up for the town, to pay the town budget, or four, sorry.
Those four.
Yeah,
And not the four officers.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand you're talking about the chief, the lieutenant, the administrative assistant, and the sergeant. I understand where the four are. So you're basically saying those four people are gonna balance the budget so that, I have trouble with that, but if I could offer a counter, because I don't think we should be touching this AMC budget. I do believe that this is the budget. I understand how we got here. It was explained to me. I've done my best to explain it to y'all. However, at this point, following what's going on in the legislature, we should be getting some money back from Wachusett. Now, I know it's not guaranteed because the budget's not done. It's between the House and the Senate, going for reconciliation, still has to go back to the governor. There's a lot of work left to do. But the suggestion has been made to me that we take that last 50,000 from stabilization to put it back in when we get that money from Wachusett and balance the budget. If it's 50,000, 47,490, I believe it was, to do it that way instead. I am not comfortable going to two people and saying, you decide how the four people are gonna give up money to balance the town budget. I just don't feel comfortable doing that. But I offer the other proposal as an option as well.
Yeah, in a good counter proposal, I guess I would say I feel much more comfortable than you with having them go back and give what they're basically being paid for this a haircut. I have no reservation to making that ask. I'm making it publicly, I'd make it privately. I think that's, my position is I think that's a fair ask. The stabilization fund is 279, if I'm not mistaken, 279,000. We've gone to it 2 years in a row. We've tried to reimburse it for prior years. It's not the worst suggestion. If you're saying we would do it temporarily, and if the Wachusett Regional money that has been estimated actually at 70,000 comes in, then that's fine, but I would want us all to be professional, but be committed to reimbursing it when it comes in. Because sometimes we say that, and then we get busy and we find other uses for the money when it comes in.
I mean, I've already made it clear that I think that the stabilization is too low, and I would absolutely, I would absolutely state that that's what we would do. Yeah, I would pledge that.
So, Mark, if I may, yeah. Heather, are you on there?
I am.
Okay, so I'm looking at the latest budget numbers here, and it's on the spreadsheet with the dark blue, SB alternate, May 28th, right?
Yep.
So that's where we're coming up with the 47,490, and so I'm looking at this, and it looks like, I'm just going by big items. Police is reduced by 9.1, fire at 13 point something. So that takes care of our need for round-the-clock coverage. The library is reduced at 18.2 or 3, 18.2. So that should...
She dropped the last digit, it was 18.25.
Okay. What did I tell you about that managerial accounting? And then we have, what am I missing here? But Public Works is at 18.5. So, I mean, there are some deep cuts here in certain areas, but I think this does what we need it to do. And now the issue is the 47,490. I would propose we take that from stabilization and balance this budget. However, with the commitment of any funds that come in from Wachusett, money back from the state aid reimbursement, that go immediately to stabilization. But as far as the AMC contract, I think as we begin this summer and look at restructuring conversations, I think your ask there, Mark, should be in that bucket.
So I don't want to totally show my hand into where I'm leaning, but I don't disagree with that proposal. What I want to go back to all the select board members is I don't want the police department to feel that they've been attacked. What we basically were focusing on is many budgets were reduced by 64%, 46%, 25%. 18.25 seems to be the norm that we were trying to get to that benchmark, and the police department is reduced by 9%. So there are all kinds of audiences out there and all kinds of constituencies. There are audiences and constituencies that think that that's not fair. That should have been deeper in their Anna Maria contract would be a way to make this work and not look as if it were spared, so to speak. So you've maintained, and I agree, it is part of your emotional plea, you're going to have difficulty voting for a police budget that doesn't have 24-hour coverage. None of us don't want that. But others of us are going to say, we're having difficulty voting for what essentially is a $2 million budget when you add Anna Maria and the town, where everybody else has made a sacrifice and has made cuts, but on paper, the police department has not done that. So that's an issue as well. That doesn't walk away or back away from Jeff's proposal, because I think we were all leaning in that direction. But I do think that if we do that, the police department and the Anna Maria contract has still got to be a point of reference and source to make it better and work better for everybody. Because right now, I think it's benefiting 4 people individually. I'm sorry to say that, but that's my general sense. And when you have, as I said the other night, when you have a department head that's reducing their hours and by extension reducing their pay, and others on this page are making north of 200,000, there's something fundamentally wrong with that. And maybe it's not corrected tonight, but it's got to be addressed and corrected in the future.
So, all right, a couple of things. I'm sorry, I don't agree, only because he has taken on the extra responsibility. We're talking about same pay as the Princeton chief, less pay than what would normally be a police chief at a small college, which is why Anna Maria is so anxious to enter into this contract with us. The second thing, though, is I'm not as worried about fairness across the board with all the departments. You said to me the Tuesday night, you don't just represent the public safety budgets, you represent all the budgets. And I respectfully, Mr. Love, I don't agree with that.
Don't agree that I said it? Or
No, you said that. Oh, no, you said that. I don't agree with the sentiment. I was elected by 5,004, or I represent 5,004 residents in the town of Paxton. I work with all the boards, the committees, and the employees to provide the best service possible with the resources provided. I believe we're doing that. I believe that the Anna Maria College contract does that. I believe that we're providing the best possible services to the town with the limited resources that we have. And I still don't understand why a college would pay for service and then say, by the way, here's an extra 125, 175,000, whatever, just for the town. That would be called pilot, which Anna Maria has repeatedly and several times denied paying to the town. So we have entered a contract where we provide services and they pay for those services. Anna Maria knows exactly what they're paying. They're happy to pay them because they're saving money. Yes, we do have some people that are making a little bit more money. And yes, we can attack their salaries. But my opinion, and again, we can have differing opinions and respect each other's opinion, but my opinion is that's not the route to go to balance this budget. Asking 2 people to decide how much money 4 people are going to give up to balance a town budget, I'm just not comfortable with that.
Well, those couple of people decided how much they would pay themselves.
Actually, not really. So that was explained to me as well, and I don't, if you look at the original contract, the agreement from the original contract was that it would continue to, the pay would continue to go up in regular increments. And that's all that's happened. So if you look at, so what we'd have to do is pull the budgets from the original one, which was in the original contract in whatever year it was, 2010 or 11, through now, you would see that they just increase at regular increments, and it's not just, and that was under Chief DeRosa originally, but it's not just Mark or Guy, the 2 that you're singling out here, sitting there going, you know what, I think this year we should make this much. They have been regular increments that was agreed upon between the town and Anna Maria College back in whenever it was.
Well, let's just maybe wind it down, because I think we're going to need to agree to disagree, because I disagree that this town, under any contractual arrangement, whatever it may be, should pay 2 people in one department over $200,000.
Okay.
When nobody else is even remotely close to being overpaid. So that's a point of let's agree to disagree.
Fair enough.
The other thing is, I think only in passing, but you made mention of other towns. I wouldn't want us to compare to other towns because we could do a study where the Leicester Police Chief, I don't believe when Becker was on the Leicester campus, that there was additional money that sent his salary north of $200,000. I don't believe the Rutland Police Chief with the Devereaux School has that. All of those are different. I guess my point is, let's not go there, because if we do go there, then we really got to do a deep study to make those particular comparisons. I want to just look at Paxton, and I'll forevermore think and say that 2 officers, however talented, however experienced they are, however the working relationship is with both the town and Anna Maria, we can't afford to pay them over $200,000, regardless of what they do.
Well, we pay them 137.
If I may, are we open for a motion?
We're going to go back and forth on
Yeah.
that.
We open for a
The
mo-
W-2 is, you just said a minute ago, well, we don't really pay them. I mean, Inoria doesn't pay them, we pay them. The W-2 at the end of the year is $210,000.
Right, but-
Or $202,000.
Is this thing
I'm
on?
just saying the taxpayer's responsibility.
Can I ask, oh, go ahead, Tim.
Yeah,
You were waiting. You were
couple
waiting.
things, thanks, I was in queue. So just, the stabilization's at 170, is that correct?
279.
279. So, in terms of kind of what the police department's contributing, I do think they should kick in some more. I'm not saying they cover the entire 47,000, but I think some more. And then I would propose figuring out what that is, and then the rest comes out of stabilization. And then we let the chief decide where it comes from. It's his department. Let him figure out where he can kind of come up with, say, 50-50 split. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it simple. We could do whatever, 27-20, something like that. But I think that, you know, again, everything that we heard from, and I know the chief and his department talked to a lot during the whole budget process, and you know, certainly everyone's kicking in. So I think they should kick in a little bit more. Not the entire amount, you know, I don't think that that's fair, but I would say is, I would suggest between stabilization and the police, rounding numbers, maybe they're 11%, you know, instead of, what are they, 9.1 now, I think? And then the difference comes out of stabilization, and we let the chief decide where that comes from out of his budget, so.
Tony?
I just want to, because Peter, I didn't get a chance to jump in. You moved right into this stuff, but I appreciate, you didn't owe me an apology.
No, I did. I felt bad.
I fed you a lot of football games. I get that.
Yes, you
know,
did.
But, and listen, I apologize too. I've admitted to many people I'm terrible speaking off the cuff. You know, I can write great emails and read well, but when I just start talking about that stuff, I don't always say what I mean. So, it's terrible to hear that police, I hate when we use words like attacked, like those guys go through so much, and it's so painful trying to talk about this stuff and people's salaries, and I hate that they feel like that. You know, I hear the same thing from teachers when we dig into the teachers' budget, and it sucks, you know, so I apologize for anybody that feels like that. Like, for me, it's a numbers thing where it's like, I don't think we can take salaries lightly. We have to talk about it because salaries become pensions. And like, you know, when I went back and looked, we've gone up 143% in our pension liability over the last 10 years. And then not trying to belittle anyone's pension or anything, but I think we do have to just not be casual about salaries. I'm not getting into these specific numbers. I'm not prepared to do that. I'm just saying in general, moving forward, part of why we are where we are is, I don't know how we forecasted or thought about that part of it, you know, when we do the collective bargaining and everything. Maybe that is all projected, I have no idea. But it just seems like our pension liability really blew up, so I think we do have to, you know, and because that my question, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? I start talking about this stuff, I get on a path I don't want to. My question was, when we talk about like the 207 versus 137, does all that get counted towards pension down the road? And
Not all.
And I'm not saying it should or shouldn't, but I'm just wondering.
No, not all, because you have unpaid vacation or, you know, vacation time that's included in there. You have the he takes the insurance through Holden, I believe.
Okay.
But he used to take it, that's figured in there as well, so.
It's
all
just
of-
good to get that stuff out, that's why I
all of
asked.
that stuff is in there.
Because people see that and they think the same thing.
Yeah, it's
Is that
not,
200?
yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Are we entertaining motions?
Not from you.
Oh,
Well, would you entertain a friendly amendment to your motion that we go back to the police department and ask them if they're willing to rework the Anna Maria contract to help relieve the $47,000 budget? And if they are, and it's the full amount, great. If not, that we would take the rest out of stabilization, and it would be reimbursed, whatever that number is, with the state increasing the school assessment and the Wachusett Regional School Assessment by extension to us is increased.
got it. So you're saying have them come back with a number?
Yep.
And then whatever that number is, the balance out of stabilization?
Right.
And then that's reimbursed by school?
Right.
Yeah, and just doing quick math on my phone, it was, 11%, so it's another $25,158 from the police department. And then the difference would be, what's that, 22,000 out of stabilization.
So that's, but,
And again, and back to Mark's point about AMC, I think leave it up to the chief where he wants to take it from.
But you're not doing that. So that's what I'm saying, we gotta be careful how we word this. My opinion, it's just my opinion, if you will, give the chief a number. You're telling me you're gonna cut whatever it is, $22,000 from the police budget, if that's the number that you come up with. Tell him it's $22,000 from the police budget. Let him figure it out from there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit different than what Mr.
Well,
Lund is saying, so I
that's
want to
why
make sure that we're on the same.
I think
Not from
he was
AMC.
actually being more
Was
flexible.
Mark was saying, and I was just saying, I think leave it up to the chief. It's his budget, let him figure it out. But, so I guess based on that, I would say the budget's $1,156,029 for the police, which is 11% cut from the original.
And what,
And then that would leave 22,000 out of stabilization, would be the difference.
and then what's
And
the,
then if we get money back from Wachusett, that's reimbursed back into.
so it's 22 out of, it's,
22 out of 47 is 25.
20, yeah, and change, right? 20, but there's change, right? 190? So it's,
I'm saying 1,156,029.
right, so it's 25,490?
158.
Yeah, right, so it's
So,
20,
so Mr. Clerk, is that clear as a motion to your way of thinking?
I think that's fine. So I think that's good.
Can I throw one thing, I had my running list as we were doing all this of, if, I don't want to go north, but I'll throw it out there. I had one thing on my list that was like if we circled back to it, and it's not super expensive, but I had the poll pads for the elections. It was, I think, $900. If we're getting into this, is that something that gets added? I just had that on my little green list. Is that something that gets added back in?
Can you say that again? We were talking.
Poll pads, adding the
that?
poll pads back in.
Yeah.
I honestly, Tony, I think the town clerk would really appreciate that. The poll pads make a big difference to
I'll be
her.
honest with you, yeah.
What was the amount?
I think it's $925. And it was one thing that I just had off to the side in terms of, if we, I don't think I've asked to go north on anything yet. I love the south, but.
No, what you're doing is called earmarks. So we have, just to clarify, so we got 20, is it 22,000 from Anna Maria and 25,000?
No. not
Oh, the other way
from
around?
Maria, not from- So what I'm proposing is that the new police budget would be $1,156,000 or 156,29, 029, which is 11%.
Yeah.
Okay, and that difference is 25,158. So if we're 40, well, if we're adding 900 in now,
925.
925.
I believe it was
So,
925.
Heather, what was it, 47,490?
490.
So plus.
Yes, but there's unfortunately one more thing we have to pull up that's not pertaining to the police department, but it's going to throw our numbers a little bit.
Oh,
So I've just been going back and forth with the fire chief. So we had talked about, and we know we've added the 90,000 into the budget, the ambulance receipts and the notion of kind of covering some of the expenses. But in doing so, we'd actually have to adjust the numbers that you see there. So I'll just make sure my screen's sharing here. So on the detailed sheet, where these numbers are right here, these 50, 18, 5, they actually have to be adjusted to account for the cost that he was thinking that would be offset. We didn't have them, I don't think, in last night's budget, but they need to be added because those are expenses we still have to cover. Again, the idea was that we were going to cover those with the ambulance receipts, and that's why the 90,000 was added. Or you could think of it as take those out to cover the, instead of covering those with the regular budget, you're covering the additional position, and you're putting back in the ambulance receipts to cover this. But we want to make sure that those ambulance receipts offset the costs that he has to incur, and I think that's going to mess with your bottom line deficit.
So the 1108, we're adding what to that?
I'm just throwing the numbers on the side there and making sure I have them right. I think the chief, there's a probability the chief's in the room, so if I'm incorrect, he can most certainly correct me. So I have 25, 20, 12, and 33. So these numbers would change.
I know. I know, that's what I said.
Is that correct?
What's it say there?
1165.
It's high.
I know.
Should be 1130.
So which number am I off on, chief?
89470, yes.
What's this supposed to be? The 8277?
860.
Even?
Yep.
Okay, does that put us where we should be?
Yeah, 1130,204.
That's the one.
okay.
Okay.
What does that do?
Oh, yeah,
for the
what's the-
deficit?
Oh, I don't know, wrong sheet, sorry, hold on.
Oh, it didn't change. I like that.
Yeah,
No,
well, it did, hold on one second. Are you seeing the summary sheet, or are you still seeing the details?
no, we're seeing this.
So 69,790.
Yes,
So I would propose that difference comes out of stabilization. So keep the police department
I mean,
at
okay.
11. But that's my suggestion, is keep them at the 11% difference is stabilization.
okay, yeah.
Okay, so going back here, so what's the final changes in the police department one more time that I'm modifying?
Well, the overall would be 1156029. And where it comes from is the chief's call.
All right, so just for, right now, for purposes, I'm just gonna take it from supplies so that it represents in this equation, and then, because it's a bottom line budget, if and when this gets approved at town meeting, we can, make sure it's wherever it needs to be, or we can always change it on the floor too. Does that sound okay to everyone?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And is Tony's earmark in there too?
What's Tony's earmark? Are you kidding? Or serious?
9, was it 920?
Just went up to 950 after that.
Oh, 9.
No, 925, 925.
Good here, Marsh. You don't have the right bill to be tip on.
It's 925 for the poll pads, Heather, for the
That's
town
under the
clerk.
town clerk, right?
Oh, that reference. All right, hang on one second. Let me circle back. All right, so let's get rid of the 25,158. So that brings us down to the 1156,029. Okay, and now I'm popping up to town clerk. Okay. And you're adding the pole pads back in
I assume that's
purchase services?
I believe so.
I believe it would be purchase services, yeah.
And what's that number, Julia?
It's 925 added in?
Heather, that would go on our elections.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry, Lori.
sorry.
It's okay.
Oh, I didn't know.
You said 9:30?
25.
925.
25. I rounded up, sorry. Okay. Let's check our numbers down here.
That sums up budgets.
So we go here. So it's still showing 45,557. So let's go back and look.
Yeah, I think it's.
So fire department, we're right. The 1130204. And then back up in police department, we wanted that as the total. It was originally 61,650. We're down to the total 11,56029.
That's correct.
And how much did we figure was going to be left that we were covering with operating until such time that the school pushes funds back?
Well,
The remainder.
so the fire was, so what was the fire? Because it was originally 110, someone wants to add this one.
1181,187.
So it was originally 117, 114. And what's the new number? 113. So that went up 22,300.
Yeah, so that would make that correct.
Like,
That and the year.
oh, yeah, because we took
Tony's.
the police down.
Yeah.
We took the police down. So yeah, 47.
Yeah, so that would be correct.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So your motion then is to take that out of stabilization and then to put the money back in stabilization when we get the funds back from.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
And
All right, so this 45,557 is going to become part of the revenues from stabilization?
correct.
Yes.
And just, Heather, if I may, when you have a second, no rush here.
Yep, go for it.
What's the new percentage for police reduction? Is it 11%?
What's the new one now?
Summary sheet.
I can't see this.
We're here.
Okay.
11%. It's almost like you knew it was
Checking my math.
Yeah, I am. Yeah,
Could
Go
I
ahead.
add a non-financial update? Pending last night was the Board of Assessors, the stipends. It was pending whether or not, because they are required to be paid given their term, but the question was, could we go back and ask them whether or not they would volunteer? And I believe an email was sent that 2 of the 3 have agreed to do that, to relinquish those.
Okay.
And the one that hasn't has not,
Responded.
the town clerk has not heard back from.
And this was the Board of Registrars, right?
Yeah.
Board of Registrars.
Oh, you said assessors.
Assessors, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
it is.
Yeah.
Right. So I would take a leap of faith that that one would agree as well. So we kind of passed that pending hearing, but I'm just letting you know that that case is closed, in my estimation.
Would you like me just to leave that 550 in there just in case, and then we're good to go? And I've taken out the other 2?
I would recommend that we leave it out.
Okay. All right, so you want me to take it to 0?
Yes. So are we ready to vote on the motion?
Well, are we still considering earmarks? I'd like to rename some streets. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm ready. Why don't you go ahead? You've been great with this. Tim, take it away for the motion.
What am I, it's going through the whole thing, or just motion to accept the budget as,
So I would move to accept the,
Do we need to list those amounts out in the motion? Is that
Yeah.
important?
how about I do it? You can second it, right?
I'll second it.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
So I move that we accept the FY '26 budget with total revenues of $16,448,856, with total expenses of $16,448,856.
Second.
I don't think we did, but we didn't change too much, but we didn't change anything that's the library out of whack with the,
The library is still at 8.
they're still good with the, okay, with the.
Are we still at 18.25?
But we didn't change anything else that got them out of the disproportionate. No. All right, it's okay, I just wanted to make sure.
So,
Yeah, if we went to the 167, we're out of guidance
Okay.
with the.
So we should still be
proportionate.
okay, right?
Stick with what we did last night. We
Okay.
Jeff or Tim, I think what I prefer is to close the loop, is to make a vote on the police department budget.
That's fine, that's fine. So let's go
It's the only one we didn't, so I think to do that, to make it the slate clean, and then by extension, go back to your
Yep.
other motion.
Yep.
So is there a motion on the, can there be a motion made regarding the police department?
There would be, but the screen's gone away, and I can't remember the number.
Yeah, I was gonna do the math quick, if you trust me, man.
Yeah, Tim's gonna do
I'll make a motion.
There we go.
Yep, go right
A
ahead.
motion to approve the police budget at $1,156,029.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, roll call. We're going to go with Jeff,
Aye?
Tim,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Mark votes aye.
Okay, and then I won't restate the motion, but it's to accept the FY '26 budget as just presented. You have a second?
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? None, all in favor, Jeff,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Tony,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Mark votes aye.
There we have it.
I think we have a budget.
Not pretty, but it does the trick.
So, under old news, new news, bad news, we have to announce that, and by the way, Tim, I think this is the meeting that you've spoken the most at that I can recall.
This year anyways, yeah.
Tim is moving out of Paxton for business and related reasons, and as a result, needed to submit, regrettably, his resignation to the town clerk and to the town moderator to vacate his position on the finance committee. And Tim, speak for everybody, you'll be sorely missed. You've been the person of common sense and reasonableness. Oftentimes a man of few words, but we're glad that changed this evening and you got us into the end zone, so thank you very much. But appreciate the service, dedicated and loyal and well done, for sure. So thank you.
Appreciate it, thank you. Yeah, it's been a great tenure on the finance committee and working with Rich and now Mark and the select board for sure. We've been in Paxton 11 years, loved it here, love it here. It's just that we're, my commute was a little much and we decided to move closer to work. So that was a tough decision, but we'll miss the town. So,
Well, on behalf of the selectmen, we're sorry to see you go.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Thanks for you.
We were going to present you with a gold watch or a rocking chair. That's in the budget, so
We need back the
spend the
$900.
$925.
Yeah.
It's another earmark.
can you make a motion to adjourn?
I have a
Tim?
quick question, just to point, as far as approving the warrant articles, do we need, Are we doing that?
We're not doing that this evening, but we're going to set a meeting either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. I'll send you an email tomorrow for us to do that.
Okay, great.
Any public comment?
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Thank Chief and Travis, thank you both for attending and staying with it, and your comments were always on point every time you spoke, so thank you. And thank the Select Board very much. Motion to
Motion to adjourn?
second?
Second.
Any discussion? None? All in favor? Jeff?
Aye.
Tony?
Aye.
Jeremy? I would say he's
I
gone.
think we lost him.
Yeah, I think
It looks like Zoom is
disconnected.
cut. Yeah.
No, we lost him. We lost him.
And Tim?
Aye.
Aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Motion?
I'll move that we adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion, Steve? Yeah. Oh, Kirk's there. So, Kirk, we just made a motion to adjourn, and it was seconded. Julia?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
Kirk?
He's muted, so I don't know. Kirk, unmute.
And the chair votes aye.
We got 3. It's good.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. We close next Friday. Okay. So movers will come.